Walter Slozar. We have with the Department of Defense Joint Task Force Southern Border, Lieutenant Colonel Chad Campbell. We also have the United States Attorney from the Western District of Texas, Justin Simmons. And lastly, we have U.S. Attorney for the District of New Mexico, Ryan Ellison. I also want to thank our partners that are here in attendance from the Customs Office of Field Operations, Texas DPS, our FBI partners and HSI partners for being here today. Thank you very much. Our Air Marine as well. Thank you. No, we're good. Okay. So today we're here to address the National Defense Area, commonly known as the NDA. We're also here to address some of the consequences for crossing the border illegally. The NDA spans from Lordsburg in New Mexico and Arizona all the way to Fort Hancock here in Texas. You currently are standing actually in the NDA area. And while I'm going to allow Mr. Chad Campbell to speak more on the NDA, I want to go ahead and I want you to recognize that nothing in this area indicates that this is a reasonable place to enter the United States. Before anyone even enters at this point, they have already had to have crossed the Rio Grande, Concertina Wire, this open area being patrolled by agents and by DOD. You also have a lot of these signs posted throughout, basically saying that this area is restricted. All of these factors combined paint a picture that this area is not an area to cross, this is a restricted area. With all that, I want to turn it over to our guest speakers to elaborate more on some of these remarks. Please allow us to have our first speaker, Chief Slozar from the United States Border Patrol. Chief.
Thank you, Assistant Chief Lopez. I appreciate everybody being here, members of the media, our partners, both on the north side and on the south side here to make sure we're in a secure spot as we have this discussion here in the NDA. So as was stated, I am the interim chief patrol agent of El Paso sector. My name is Walter Slozar. I'm here first and foremost to thank our invited guests and the individuals you see here to my right. Everybody that you see here has a key part in border security, and our partners from OFO, the Department of State, HSI, and FBI are key in everything we do here. We have behind them our field commanders of the U.S. Border Patrol and our DoD forces. Those individuals are in charge of each station across the 264 miles of the El Paso sector. It's them and their DoD personnel and their Border Patrol agents that secure this line each and every day. So I want to take a moment to recognize those individuals, thank them for their service before we carry on with our message. Thank you. So as we're here to talk about consequences and the national defense area, I want to make it extremely clear. Anyone who enters the United States illegally will be removed. Not necessarily just back to Juarez or to Chihuahua or right across the border, but also into southern Mexico. Individuals will face criminal prosecution under the United States immigration law for repeated or aggravated illegal entry and any NDA charges as applicable. This applies to everybody. It applies to anybody from any country, to include Mexican citizens who do not have the right to enter the country. You are not exempt. You cross illegally, you will be apprehended, and you will be flown back far from the United States international border. Offenses or involvement with foreign terrorist organizations lead to criminal prosecution, in addition to removal from the United States. If you cross the U.S. Border Patrol between the ports of entry, you are breaking the law. You will be subject to applicable consequences, including fines, jail, removal, and bans on re-entry. When apprehended, removal will be imminent. Individuals will face bans on re-entry, criminal prosecution, and additional legal penalties for repeated or aggravated violations. New international agreements and faster removal pathways allow United States authorities to quickly repatriate illegal entrants, including maritime aliens in those areas, with no pause in enforcement. Coordinated legal and law enforcement efforts ensure swift removal and criminal prosecution. Foreign terrorist organizations are lying to you. They are the ones who profit by spreading lies. They cannot deliver on their promises of entry or legal status. Anyone who follows them will be detained, prosecuted, and removed. There are legal pathways. They do exist. They are secure, and there are orderly ways to seek entry into the United States. Do not cross the international boundary illegally. Catch and release has ended. Regarding the NDA, we are committed to a whole-of-government approach to border security. Border security is national security. The expansion of the Department of Defense's jurisdiction supports the operational control of the U.S. southern border. The Department of Defense partnership in the national defense area addresses gaps in coverage along the U.S.-Mexico border. It is done by providing additional infrastructure, supporting technology, and personnel. As of right now, there are 2,155 of these NDA signs that have been placed along the border in the El Paso sector AOR from Lordsburg, New Mexico, all the way to Fort Hancock, Texas. I want to be clear. These partnerships and consequences exist so that we can promote the most humane border environment we've ever had. We are dissuading people from entering the smuggling cycle. It is our intention to make sure that smugglers cannot take advantage of individuals who are trying to come into the United States. Exercise your legal pathways. Do not cross the border illegally. I'll now turn it over to Lieutenant Colonel Chad Campbell for his remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Slozer, and good morning. Thank you for all coming out here today. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Chad Campbell. I'm the commander of the 1st Battalion, 41st Infantry Regiment, 2nd Brigade, 4th Infantry Division, speaking on behalf of Joint Task Force Southern Border. I command roughly 550 soldiers along the southern border, approximately 264 miles of Paso, working alongside Chief Slozer and his U.S. Border Patrol partners. While there are certain topics that I won't be able to comment on, including such topics as policy, funding, and other response missions, I'm very happy to discuss what we are laser focused on, and that is 100% operational control of the southern border. We are honored to work alongside the U.S. Border Patrol partners and also other federal agencies. If you have any questions that I'm unable to respond to, obviously we have our Joint Task Force Southern Border Public Affairs Officer, Major Jeff Carmichael, and he can take your responses, take your inquiries, and respond to them accordingly. Again, thank you for coming today, and I look forward to answering all your questions. I'll now pass this off to the U.S. Attorney, Justin Simmons of Western District of Texas.
Good morning. My name is Justin Simmons. I am the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Texas. I just want you all to see here, just like Chief Slozer said, this is a whole-of-government approach to this problem. We are all on the same page. We are 100% on board with not only prosecuting illegal entry, but prosecuting crimes related to entering into these NDAs. And the reason that's important, the reason these NDAs are important is obviously it allows us to bring more resources to bear on this issue. If you don't have a border, you don't have a country, bottom line. Bringing resources to bear is the right thing to do, and NDAs make our border more secure. As Chief Slozer said, it allows us to cover gaps in the border. It allows our soldiers that are here to cover these gaps in the border. Our goal, to be clear, is not just about illegal immigration. It is total eradication of Mexican drug cartels. And like it or not, illegal immigration feeds the wolf that are Mexican drug cartels. They make, let's think about it this way. There's estimates 8 to 10 million people entered the United States over the last several years, right? Let's say, I read a report the other day where a guy paid $16,000 to come across. Let's say the average is 10. That's $80 billion on the low end that went back to the cartels to fund their reigns of terror in Mexico and elsewhere. They could buy Twitter twice. That is a lot of money, all right? They're making a ton of money off these people. And as the chief said, it isn't just about getting across. They lie to these people. They tell them they can get them across. They tell them they can get them into the interior of the United States. In reality, what happens a lot of times, they bring them here, they put them in a stash house, and they extort their families for additional money. So don't believe that these cartels have your best interest in mind. All they care about is themselves and enriching themselves. I heard this morning that the crossings and the encounters by Border Patrol over the last several years were several thousand a day. And that's dropped to 60 to 70 per day. That's an amazing decline in encounters. So it shows what we're doing here is working. And that's thanks to all of our law enforcement partners, our military partners, doing the hard work that they do every single day. Again, these NDAs allow us to bring the resources to bear that we need. And it truly is, like I said, a team effort. So I do thank Chief Slozar, I thank Lieutenant Colonel Campbell, U.S. Attorney Ryan Ellison for being here, just to show that we are all 100% behind this. And just to be clear, these NDAs are not going away. The charges related to these NDAs from my office are not going away. They make the country safer. And when people feel safe, they can thrive, not just survive. And that's what we want for the American people. We want the American people to be able to enjoy life, enjoy liberty, and pursue happiness. That's what this does. That's what stopping illegal immigration does. That's what total eradication of Mexican drug cartels does. And with that, I'll bring up U.S. Attorney Ryan Ellison.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. My name is Ryan Ellison, and I'm the United States Attorney for the District of New Mexico. As everyone here has said this morning, border security is national security. It is every nation's fundamental right, and indeed its responsibility, to know exactly who and what is coming across our borders. That is not a political statement. That is a statement of common sense and public safety. New Mexico's National Defense Area represents a significant step forward in our efforts to stop violent criminals, national security risks, and dangerous narcotics like fentanyl from entering our country and poisoning American citizens. It serves as a buffer between the lawlessness and cartels south of the border and the American homeland. While we welcome people coming into this country the right way, with the proper documentation, with the proper vetting, going through ports of entry, doing so illegally carries consequences. Individuals who come across our southern border and into a national defense area will continue to face additional criminal charges. And these are not just symbolic charges. They carry serious federal penalties. We are taking a whole of government approach to securing our southern border. The Department of Justice is working hand in glove with the U.S. military, with the Border Patrol, and with other federal agencies to effect both immediate enforcement efforts as well as long-term disruption of smuggling organizations. We are targeting repeat offenders, dismantling support networks, and building strong prosecutions that result in meaningful sentences and a deterrent effect. Our goal is to disrupt criminal networks by relentless pressure on those who profit from illegal border crossings. To the human trafficking and foreign terrorist organizations smuggling people and drugs across our border, know this: we are alert, we are unified, and we are prepared to act. The National Defense Area is more than just a mere designation. It is a critical tool to enable the federal government to achieve, for the first time, true operational control of our southern border. It is a line that we will defend with the full force of federal law, and our resolve will not waver. Thank you.
Thank you to our speakers. Really appreciate it. We're now going to open it up to questions from the media. We're going to go from right to left. We're going to limit it to 1 to 2 questions per outlet. So starting from the right, please indicate who it is from the panel that you would like to speak to, and it's going to be 1 to 2 questions limited from right to left. We're going to give about 30 minutes for this, okay?
Guarded by both sides of the border, both by Mexican and American authorities. Thank you.
That question, there we go. Thank you very much for that question. And that's a very good point. The intent, whether it is that we want to deter people from ever making the illegal entry, we want to deter people from ever entering into the smuggling cycle. We do not want the cartels and the foreign terrorist organizations to profit from the individuals that they are trying to push across into the border and putting them in very dangerous and unsafe situations. So I will say that I believe there are 5 things for border security that you need. Policy, you need domain awareness, you need to be able to impede and deny entry, you need to be able to apprehend individuals, and you need to be able to apply consequences to those individuals. If our impedance and denial and our policies are deterring people from coming into the United States illegally, then that is a win for us. So I can't speak to each individual person and what the mindset is, but the message should be clear. Do not enter the United States illegally. This in no way, shape, or form around us looks like an inviting place or the front door of a country. This looks like a window or a side door. And I challenge anybody here or listening to this to allow random individuals to try to attempt to enter your home through a window and not through the front door.
Con los que intentan.
Orlando, ¿me puedes platicar exactamente lo que preguntó? Porque no se escuchó. Sí. Bueno, le voy a preguntar. Esa es la pregunta. ¿Cómo trabajamos juntos la patrulla fronteriza del Departamento de Defensa? Sí. No, estamos trabajando en conjunto. O sea, primeramente, ese es un trabajo de todo el gobierno. Y lo que pasa es que si entran en un lugar como esta área de defensa nacional, si llego yo, la patrulla fronteriza, o si llega el Lieutenant Colonel Campbell, los soldados del ejército, trabajamos juntos, estamos en conjunto, ellos sí los pueden detener por un momento hasta que llega la patrulla fronteriza. Nosotros nos encargamos de los cargos y de trabajar con nuestros parejas acá que acaban de hablar para poder aplicar los cargos correctos a los individuos que entraron ilegalmente.
says, which is a message from the United States Border Patrol.
La patrulla fronteriza tiene este mensaje. Primeramente, no entra al país ilegalmente. Es un crimen. Van a haber cargos. Yo sujeto como jefe de la patrulla fronteriza que buscan manera legal de entrar si ese es el intento de ellos.
Do you have the keys? Let me run to it. What is it?
Bueno, yo les voy a decir, me acerco un poquito más para que puedan escuchar. El mensaje sobre los cambios de administraciones y todo, yo he trabajado por la patrulla fronteriza por 27 años. Esas son 27 años, he pasado 6 administraciones y 5 presidentes. El mensaje siempre ha sido igual. No puede uno cruzar la frontera ilegalmente. Ese es el mensaje de nosotros. Ahora, antes cuando nosotros estábamos arrestando más de 1,000 personas diariamente en este lugar, los patrulleros estaban muy ocupados y no tenían manera de llegar a patrullar en otros lugares. Así que abrió la frontera y fue un peligro al país. Los patrulleros, mis agentes, las mujeres y hombres de nuestra patrulla fronteriza están felices enfocar en trabajar de nuevo y para poder andar en la frontera, para arrestar a las personas que están tratando de entrar ilegalmente y hacer nuestro país seguro.
Una pregunta más de parte de la comunidad latina. Todavía hay personas que ya sea por la violencia en nuestros países o por la cuestión económica todavía están motivando a otros a que se vengan para este país. Obviamente ustedes ya lanzaron el mensaje en inglés. Si nos puede resumir en español, por favor, tenemos 10,000 personas conectadas.
Sí, claro. El mensaje de nosotros es: no se mete en las manos de los carteles ni de los contrabandistas. Ya no vengan aquí ilegalmente. Ellos se van a aprovechar de ti, echan mentiras y no pueden asegurar tu entrada, ni legal ni ilegal. Si usted desea entrar a los Estados Unidos, busca manera legal de hacerlo. Ese es el mensaje que tengo ahorita.
So we can just keep this. Sorry.
Heriberto Pérez Pinchon, Secretary of El Paso. Chief Loser and your Lieutenant Colonel Campbell. What is the trend you guys were talking about? The significant drop in numbers, 99% this year compared to last year. What is the trend that you guys continue to see here? People, 60 to 70 people. Not knowing that this is now a national defense area, or maybe you see assaults for agents, soldiers. What's the trend that you guys continue to see now?
Thank you for the question. Good to see you again. I'll give you all the trends right now. We're touching about 60 to 70 people every day. So we continue to have activity. There are individuals
They're
that have assaulted agents, try to assault agents. They will be received strict consequences. We will work with our partners in the FBI. We will work with our partners in the assistant in the AUSA's office to be able to apply charges for that. We will not tolerate violence against federal officers. We will not be tolerated.
Chief, can you use the mic?
So we conduct patrols with the government of Mexico. We work closely. Obviously, this is a shared border environment. The United States has this side, the government of Mexico has that side, and we know the smugglers don't care that there's a line down the middle of that. They try to operate on both sides. So we work closely, whether it's through mirrored patrols or through targeted efforts, to make sure that we're sharing information. We're looking for those individuals that are responsible for the majority of the crime or causing the most violence in the border area. We target those individuals and we work closely together to bring consequences to them and place them in jail. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Buenos días, Estefany Córdoba de Comunicación. ¿Qué respuesta tiene el gobierno ante los casos que han sido desestimados contra inmigrantes que han sido acusados de besar zonas militares? Al parecer, el gobierno federal no ha podido comprobar que sus migrantes entran intencionalmente sabiendo que esto es ¿cómo es que responde el gobierno ante estos casos desestimados?
I'll turn it over to the AUSA to answer that question for you, ma'am.
So the question is, what kind of charges are we bringing? Look, we're going to keep going forward on these NDA charges. I can't get into the mind of a judge a lot of times, but we are going to keep presenting these NDA charges. They are not going away. I know we had one last week here in El Paso where the NDA charges, actually, one of them was Rule 29, which is essentially dismissed by the court. The other one went to the jury. That was an acquittal, and that's unfortunate. But they did convict on the 1325. So the message is, which is the illegal entry statute, the message is, regardless, you're still getting removed. We are going to still bring them. We may win on them. We may not. But regardless, at the end of the day, you are not going to be allowed to stay in this country if you enter this country illegally.
Yes, if I could follow up on that. Robert Olguin with KFOX 14. Mr. Simmons, I wonder if you could tell me, last week you had federal prosecutors. I don't know that I need this, to be honest with you. So last week you mentioned the case that had federal prosecutors. We had two very busy federal prosecutors putting through a federal trial in front of a magistrate. Took up time, took up resources. Is that the best use of your office's limited resources out there? We're going to mislead time before a 20-year-old defendant who would cross the border and was accused of violating.
The best use of our time is to prosecute anyone who crosses into this country illegally. If that means they crossed an NDA, we're going to charge them with NDA charges. We presented the facts to the court. We did not agree with the court's ruling. We respect the jury's verdict on the 1382, but we will continue to bring those charges. I understand your question, but that's what we're going to do. We want people to know that we are serious about these national defense areas. I think that's right. Just know if you're going to come over, you're going to cross in one of these areas, we're ready to tee it up. Our guys, they're busy, but this is why they signed up to be assistant U.S. attorneys. It wasn't to sit in an office and push paper. It was to go to court, try cases. That's what we're going to do.
I wonder if we could ask the New Mexico, or the esteemed prosecutor of New Mexico, the same question. How do you react to that? Theirs, I think, cost all the cases, and yet we're talking about their due consequences.
Well, that's very much still the subject of ongoing litigation. Our office is evaluating the appropriate next steps with respect to that. While we respect the court's ruling in those particular cases, we respectfully disagree with it. And so we will, pursue various avenues of appeal and see what the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals eventually says and respect that ruling.
Diego Mendoza with El Paso Matters. I'm wondering if you could share any details on the dimensions of the ADA and where, if anywhere, the stretch north of the border wall.
You guys want to take that or?
So I can't go into the specifics of the NDA. With the NDA in New Mexico as well as Texas, we could look at something of 60 feet to 1 mile north into New Mexico. And we don't want to go into specifics as we look at non-continuous activity. When you think about this, of Fort Bliss, Texas, a military installation with a perimeter fence around it, we would not absolutely say there's a hole in the wall by the airfield, and we wouldn't give that out to the population. And I don't think that we would speculate and give out the information to the local population as well. Yeah, in front. Yeah, absolutely. So when we came in to support Department of Homeland Security and Border Patrol agents, we obviously received our training on the use of force. When you talk about detaining, we conducted temporary detentions of illegal aliens crossing over. And I'm going to give you an example. In Santa Teresa, sensors that we had are unique military capability, such as the striker behind us, such as Department of Public Safety helicopter, noticed 3 individuals crossing the protective barrier into the United States. Those sensors called out to our formation. A DoD response went to interdict those 3 individuals, told them to sit down. Usually in our patrols, we have Spanish-speaking individuals. We told them to sit down. In a matter of 3 minutes, Border Patrol agents came in to apprehend. So that 3 minutes is that temporary detention for those 3 individuals before Border Patrol. We've seen a couple of cases, but they're very limited as we're hand in hand working with Border Patrol agents. Yeah, as a battalion commander in charge of the soldiers that I have working within the NDA and outside the NDA with Border Patrol, my purpose is 100% operational control of the southern border. Anything that talks about U.S. civilians coming into the NDA, I would probably have to give that up to the Department of Defense or Installation Management Command that owns the NDAs, such as Fort Bliss and Fort Huachuca.
Sure, thanks. I appreciate the question. So anything that has to do with land ownership, policy, or those processes or procedures that are deciding on where those boundaries are, I would defer you to U.S. Army Installation Command. I can get with you after this and provide you with a point of contact who can provide information about that.
Do you wish these signs were a little bit bigger? Because yes, I understand that here we have the razor wire and spread vehicles, but like out in the land, in this case, you have a river and then you've got a couple of small signs. Do you wish that they maybe were facing a river in a little larger capacity?
No, so I believe those signs do face the river for sure. I believe they're often attached or very close to a 30-foot bollard wall that's in that area. There are some gates and gaps. They're posted every 100 meters, give or take. So I do feel that it is obvious that you're in an area that you should not expect or have any reasonable belief that is a hospitable area to affect an illegal entry. It's not a welcoming sight to have the concertina wire, to have the DoD and Border Patrol resources deployed in that area, and to have an 18 to 30 foot border barrier in that area. With these signs posted, every 100 meters, I feel like the message is there. Do not cross illegally, and you are entering into an area that you shouldn't be in.
Luis Garcia.
The question was respect to the exact numbers of people that have been charged thus far. Do I understand it correctly? So in New Mexico, it is in excess of 500, and that number does continue to go up. We continue to bring these national defense area related charges, and they are in various postures in court, and we continue to take it day by day and evaluate it case by case. With respect to one thing that I did want to mention, as you know, there is a high level of recidivism when it comes to border crossing. And so each and every person that is apprehended in a national defense area is put on notice of the fact that they have stepped into a national defense area. They are advised by Border Patrol that they have stepped into a national defense area. They're shown a form, they sign a form, that form goes into their immigration file. And so the next time they cross the border unlawfully, there's going to be no issue as to whether or not they were on notice about stepping into a national defense area, regardless of whether they saw the sign or not, because they had previously been on notice and had to sign a document acknowledging that they knew that they had stepped into a national defense area. And so as we continue to move forward with these prosecutions and we start dealing with recidivist crossers, I think you'll see these cases getting to the finish line in a much quicker fashion.
NBC. NBC.
Sí, muchas gracias y agradecido de la pregunta. No vamos a hablar de números de agentes, ni números de equipo, ni nada que está en el área conocido por el NDA. Esa es una respuesta que tiene que ver con la seguridad de los oficiales y de los soldados que estaba operando en esa área. Pero tenemos los mismos elementos trabajando diariamente, 24 horas al día, 365 días al año en esas áreas y también en el resto de la frontera, desde Brownsville, Texas, hasta San Diego, California.
Al Hinkle with NBC News. Either of the U.S. attorneys here, is it troublesome to you at all that the Department of Defense is involved with this, or is it a help, or is it a concern?
No, it's not troublesome to me. These guys are professionals. I mean, they have their orders, they know what they're doing. And like I said, they're filling in gaps that we simply can't cover. It's with normal law enforcement personnel. So they have their processes. They know as soon as they encounter somebody, they're calling in law enforcement. These people go through the normal law enforcement process. Did we lose it? There we go. So that's what's happening. So no, it doesn't concern me. Like I said, these guys are professionals. They know what they're doing.
And a follow-up question to anybody there. What can the rest of the country, the other sectors along the border, learn from what you're doing here?
Really appreciate the question. I always am really proud of El Paso sector. There are other sectors all across the U.S. border who are working diligently to secure their border as well. So I speak with the chiefs of those sectors at least weekly. We share best practices. We talk about what we can expect in the future, and we are aligned in the fact that we want everybody to understand you cannot cross the border illegally. There will be consequences. You will be repatriated as far south as we possibly can, and we will remove you from that smuggling cycle.
Lorenzo.
Lorenzo with Fox News. Part of my question was answered. How successful have the prosecutions been in West Texas with those people that have been caught? Are they facing stiffer charges for entering the NDA?
There are additional charges for entering the NDA, and also we are continuing to prosecute everybody for 8 USC 1325 who makes an illegal entry, and we are removing those individuals from the country. So along with the charges in the NDA, our primary charge, which is 8 USC 1325, entry without inspection, we continue to apply those charges and remove individuals from the country immediately upon enter.
saber cuál ha sido el balance después de que implementaron este operativo pasado el 18 de marzo con el ejército, el balance, la experiencia, y qué es el que se busca, se ha encontrado
Just asking about that.
¿Sí me puede decir la pregunta otra vez?
quiero saber cuál ha sido la experiencia que han tenido de trabajar con las ¿cuál ha sido el balance?
Muy bien, ya tenemos el balance entre la experiencia de patrullar fronteras para el Departamento de Defensa y la patrulla fronteriza. ¿Es la pregunta? Sí. Bueno, no le puedo decir a Colonel Campbell que contesta, pero yo sé la respuesta. Yo sé la respuesta. No. Yo sé la respuesta. El Departamento de Defensa ha patrullado fronteras en todo el mundo. No es nada nuevo para ellos. Ellos están trabajando muy bien ahora en patrullar la frontera de nosotros aquí en los Estados Unidos con el país de México. Hemos trabajado muy bien, entrenamos juntos y ahora estamos trabajando sin problema en todo el área del Paso sector y también en el resto del país. Estamos fijos que seguridad nacional es seguridad en la frontera. Seguridad en la frontera es seguridad nacional. No hay diferencia entre nuestros operativos, sino que usamos uniformes diferentes.
Jefe, la preocupación es el cruce y los cárteles del narcotráfico. Ya dio su mensaje. ¿Cómo están los recursos para el cruce por túneles, que no van a ver esos letreros? ¿Cómo está trabajando la patrulla fronteriza con este problema? Han descubierto varios túneles y nos dice que en estos momentos no haya otro túnel que se cruzan en estos momentos. Háblanos un poco sobre el tema.
Bueno, yo invito a los carteles que me avisen dónde están los túneles para poner un letrero ahí, como dijo. Obviamente no hay letreros, pero vamos a seguir buscando dónde están, si están usando y seguir aplicando los cargos a esos carteles que están tratando de aprovechar de las personas y también de la seguridad nacional de los Estados Unidos. Seguimos juntos como gobierno, vamos a poner todos los recursos que tengamos para identificar esas áreas, sino abajo de la tierra o arriba en el aire, para poder poner los cargos y quitar los carteles de aquí de esta área.
Can you answer that in English? Or
Yes. You want to ask me the question?
yeah, what are you going to do about the signs on the tunnels?
Yeah, I'll tell you. If they want to call me and tell me where the tunnels are, I'll absolutely put a sign in there. But I will say this. We are working hard as a federal government, as a whole of government approach, to identify where those tunnels are, to find out who's making them, to apply charges to those individuals and get them out of the border area. We want a secure border community. We want it for the El Paso, we want it for Juarez, and we want it for the rest of El Paso sector. That is our intention, and that is what we're after.
Bueno, ahora que está todo este despliegue de ejército, de todos los elementos, ¿qué tanto se ha reducido el número de cruces? Pero también, ¿qué modalidades han detectado para tratar de evadir toda esta vigilancia y tratar de cruzar a Estados Unidos?
No, muy buena pregunta. En otros tiempos, antes de enero, las personas, los migrantes perseguían a los patrulleros, buscaban a los agentes para entregarse. Nosotros ahorita ya no está pasando, porque ya saben todos que ya no se pueden quedar, que la programa, por decir catch and release, no existe. Vamos a repatriar a personas, los vamos a arrestar, los vamos a poner cargos y los vamos a regresar lo más lejos de la frontera que podamos.
Pero ¿qué tanto se ha variado la manera en que cruzan? ¿Qué han detectado?
Sí, hay diferentes maneras. pero ahorita antes eran grupos de 1,000, ahora es una persona, 2 personas con los contrabandistas, con los carteles que los están subiendo, tratando de subir a los muros y agresivamente los están echando a un lado a otro, lastimando a la gente. Esa no es buena idea. No dan a sus seres queridos a los carteles. Ellos no los tienen respeto y se están aprovechando de su familia y de los demás.
Next question right here.
Yeah, for that report. Do you think the NDA has been properly publicized? Do you think people know it south of the border? Are there any plans to launch a campaign, a media campaign south of the border, like you guys have in other instances? And would that help with the prosecution?
Yes, so our messaging campaign has gone south of the border for sure. I have used social media to get this out. Nationally, we are putting it in the media. I ask that everybody here today assist in that by covering this and putting it out. We want everybody to know this is the National Defense Area. You cannot cross through here or any other area along the border. You will face charges. You will face additional charges for crossing in the NDA. We will repatriate you as far away from the border environment and out of the smuggling cycle as we possibly can.
Any plans to take that campaign south of the border? Any plans to take that campaign south of the border to foreign media?
Yes, I will release that in English and Spanish and have worked with the Department of State to be able to put that message into as far south as I can get that.
Last question right here, Chief.
Awesome. Sam Harris, Big Bend Sentinel. Thank you.
Hi, Sam.
A couple months ago, the White House had indicated that they wanted over 90 miles of NDA in Texas. Is the plan for the NDA to continue to expand? And if so, where are some of the gaps that you would like to see filled?
I believe Colonel Campbell or Carmichael.
So if I can understand your question correctly,
Major, can you get closer, please?
yeah, sure. If I can understand your question correctly, you had asked that there were talks or discussions about 90 additional miles stretching into Texas. While we as the Joint Task Force Southern Border can inform some of those conversations and discussions with our analysis, our intelligence that we provide in coordination with U.S. Border Patrol, I can't speculate where those additional NDAs are going to be. What I can tell you is we have been very clear that there will be additional NDAs across the southern border. When, where, I won't speculate to where those are going to be. I would offer that following this, I can get with you and provide you with points of contact at the Department of the Army, Department of Defense, and U.S. Army Installation Command, again, who drives a lot of those policies and procedures as we continue to place these NDAs. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you for your questions.
Can you
Out some of these signs along the river? Because
no more
I
questions,
can't see
sir.
any from here.
We'll get with you afterwards,
We'll
sir.
go with you.
Are we ready? Yeah. Okay, I want to thank everybody for coming out for this today. I really appreciate you being here. I want to make it very clear in closing that we are working together as state, local, and federal authorities, as well as our partners with the government of Mexico, to make a safe and secure border. All of our resources will be placed towards that, securing this border and reaching operational control of the United States and Mexico international boundary. That is our intention, and that is what we'll do. There will be stiff consequences for crossing it, and we will repatriate you as far south as we possibly can, as far away from the border as we possibly can. Thank you for being out here, and have a nice afternoon.
Yeah.
If you all want to have a one-on-one with one of the speakers that is already being set up on the side, if you guys want additional questions, they'll be available. It's just for maybe 1 or 2 more questions, but it's going to be on a one-on-one basis.